Hey everybody, what is going on? Simply incredible disc golf today. Again, Rebecca Minnick in Acebabieee 2024 Pro Tour Adventures. I'm invisible on mine too. Hold on. I'll try to be back. I hope people can hear me. So apparently it's me. Let me back out. You might be on here for a couple seconds by yourself.
All right. Can anyone else see his video? I guess
Well,
it's
I'm actually looking at it on my stream and no.
okay.
I wonder if they can hear me. I don't know. Let me see. Let's do that.
Is anyone out there?
Now you see me? No?
No. It's still just a circle, a white circle kind of spinning around.
Circle. Circle gets the square.
It's like the
Hey,
the blue circle of death, but it's the white circle of death.
Andy says he can hear me. So you know what? We're gonna run with it, and I'll be kind of tweaking as we go along and see if I can figure out what's going on with this.
Yeah, Andy said no video for you. Yeah, I couldn't see the video for you either.
Let me see here.
That's weird because I thought it was just my internet. Can you see me, Todd, or Andy?
Yeah, I can see you on the thing. On my
can you guys see me though? That you everyone that's tuned in, can you guys see me?
Well, it is what it is. But anyway, we're gonna run with it.
Okay, so Andy
said anyway, we're gonna, they can see you, and that's more important than seeing me anyway. We'll start with it, and like I said, it's kind of weird that I can see both of us, but anyway. Let's start off this. My first question, well, actually not my first question. We start off with, as per usual, the fundraisers. You got the discs?
Yes, I do.
Let me see.
Here we have my fundraiser disc. And I did this design with the lotus flower and everything. Please reach out if you're interested in helping support me for this season. Playing a lot of Disc Golf Pro Tour events and a lot of A tiers. I'm playing Amateur Worlds, planning on playing Pro Worlds as well, hopefully. So a lot of events, they're very expensive, many thousands of dollars to play all these and tour and everything. So that's one design, and then this is the other design, and all of these discs are in, there's 5 different molds that are trilogy. So there's the pure, the Tursus, the Fuse, Trespass, and the Diamond, but I don't think I have the Diamond left in this design anymore, but there is a diamond, like maybe one diamond left in this design. And then, a drum roll please. I got my disc golf pins in. So
the pins.
These are 2 different color schematic. They're pretty similar, but this one's gold, and then this one is silver. So I don't know if you can see it very well, but we'll try to get that on there. So that's the design, disc golf pins. Also, my coupon code for disc golf pins, if you get any like stake pins, is ACE15, so ACE15. So these will also be available on their website as well. So you can go get you some of these, and then also, get you some state pins or some other, like Bogey Be Gone or whatever. They have some really cool pins. So anyway, that's another way that you can support me. And yeah, that's all the fundraiser things. And then I'll be getting 2 more things. I'll have some minis made that are like porcelain ceramic minis that are getting finished up. And then also Neptune Discs is working on putting a different stamp on all of their discs as well. And so those should be ready, within the next few weeks or so. I'm not exactly sure the timeline, but yeah, more things to come.
Awesome. This week in disc golf, the first thing that I've noticed, and it's kind of driving me nuts, it is negativity. Like this, the fans of disc golf cannot trip over themselves without something negative coming out. This week, it was spectators.
Yeah.
They're complaining about there not being enough spectators this week. What say you?
Well, I mean, it's hard for me to comment on that as much just because, I'm usually on one of the earlier cards out.
Right?
But in terms of a disc golf pro tour event, I will say that um so I'll back up. Kind of I don't love the ball golf, this style of disc golf, for any course. I played a practice round here. I really didn't like the course, but then I actually liked the course a lot better after the first round. Of course, I played really well the first round. And then, even the second and third round, even though I didn't play very well, I still enjoyed it. So I feel like they did a better job of this course, even though it's still a ball golf course. I mean, I prefer to have some more wooded holes. Oh, I can see you now. Your
Oh,
video's working.
am I there again?
You're there. Yeah, I can see you. Um, anyway, so that's one thing, but aside from that, I feel like what the organizers and the TD and everybody of this event did for this event is like huge. They have like this huge block party, and it was paired with what was it, Cinco de Mayo, I think. And so
Yep.
they had like 3 or 4 blocks full of, they had a bunch of the kind of the fly mart and a bunch of the vendors, and then they had a ton of food trucks and other things. Like, it was just fun. It's really cool. Emporia, Kansas is just they are really, really like a disc golf like cost of tickets were maybe expensive. Yeah. So I feel like there was a lot. It's become a little pricey. Yeah, I can see that. If they're gonna raise I can't really comment on the price, how much they've raised it up to, but that could definitely be a problem. But I mean, from what I saw, it looked like similar crowds to what I've seen on for other tournaments, at least for FPO. And we were driving by when the lead card was teeing off on hole 1 for MPO, and it looked like a decent crowd for that as well. I mean, it was nothing like huge, but it didn't look like nobody was there or anything like
Right.
that. Like, it looked like a decent crowd. So I don't know, but if they are raising the price, to spectate, then that's kind of on them if they're going to make it really hard. Um, and not very accessible. I feel like disc golf hasn't grown enough to make the prices that much.
Yeah.
Like, you should have higher tiers and give people more things if like they have the money and they really want to do the cool things. But as a normal person, you should be able to follow along and be on the course for relatively cheap,
Yeah.
in my opinion, especially if you're going to push having ball golf courses all the time. Like, that's the whole point, is you want to be able to have so many spectators, right? Well, like, it's not fun for us necessarily. We want to have interesting courses, and it's very hard to make a very interesting course on a ball golf course. Like I said, I think that they did a decent job with what they had um, at Emporia, but at the end of the day, it's still a ball golf course.
Well, I mean, from what I understand, they're supposedly transforming it to be just disc golf, from what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
How true is
possibly
that? I
so.
don't know.
Yes, Emporia, Kansas is the middle of nowhere for
I
sure.
disagree with that for one huge reason. That whole community is disc
Yes,
golf.
that whole community, it is. It
I
really
mean,
is. Like,
it's not like around here, like being in some small town where nothing is anywhere near. People don't care about the sport.
yeah,
That community embraces it like no one else.
yeah. I remember last year when I was here for GBO, they had the mayor that was there and like made a speech at
Hmm.
the like the block party and stuff. And I think even at the players meeting, maybe like the mayor was there and had a speech and everything. So it's definitely a disc golf town. I went to this restaurant that was like so delicious. Their burgers are amazing. It's called Doobies, DO-B''S.
Hmm.
And I think the owner was there the first day I was there. He was like talking to people, super nice. Anyway, he has a basket outside of the little restaurant area and a line for, I believe, 50 feet from the basket. And if you make your putt, then you get your food for free.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. I did not make the putt. The very first, so I went there 3 times, so tried 3 times. The very first time I was really close, but I never made it, so I didn't get free food. But the food was delicious. Their sweet potato fries are the
Oh,
bee's knees. They were so good, and then they had this like doobie sauce that they make that was just so like best sweet potato fries I've ever had.
I love sweet potato fries.
Me too. They're my
So
favorite.
good.
But these were like so crispy, but still
Mhm.
like not hard on the inside. It was like deep. I just wanted to ask them like, how do you cook these? Because these are perfect.
Yeah,
Every time. I went there 3 times, got the sweet potato fries every single time, and they were perfect every single time.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
See, Charles also says they should play Jones East and West and Peter Pan. I don't know Peter Pan. I know Jones East and West,
Yeah. So
but
I
I
know
don't know
Peter
Peter Pan.
Pan, and I played Jones, East, and West because I played all 3 of those last year.
Hmm.
Um, Yeah, I agree. I think what they should do is that at least for FPO, at the minimum, they should like make a like combined East and West maybe, and
Hmm.
make like a bigger course, a bigger version of it maybe, or even just play Peter Pan because I feel like Peter Pan is more of like a reasonable FPO distance. It's still like a little bit longer, but I don't know. Maybe doing something like that, I think would be good, and not having a set country club every single round. But I get it. I mean, I get why they do it because it's so much easier just to have everyone at one localized
Hmm.
location. Because if you have any extra course, then that means you have to have twice the people,
Yeah.
doing everything.
At, at,
Um,
at Jones, didn't they have a gold course that kind of
yes,
combines some of East and West?
I
I might be
think
wrong. I might be thinking of a different course.
I think so, and I'm pretty sure they have like combined it before and made it like
Hmm.
Jones Supreme or something like
Yes,
that.
I think so.
And I think maybe that is like the gold course.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, they could definitely do something with that. And I mean, and all of those courses were being used because I didn't know this before this weekend, but they brought the AM weekend back this
Yep.
year. So last year they didn't. It was the Glass Blown Open for AM, and I guess probably DDO for Disc Golf Pro Tour. I'm not sure. I was not as involved right then,
Mhm.
but this weekend I mean, they were playing all of those courses because the AMs were playing at Jones East, Jones West, Peter Pan, and some other courses as well,
Mhm.
probably.
So I'm thinking that is the course that I thought of last week when we were talking that had the big barn where they were teeing off beside. I think that's the Jones course is what I was thinking of, and not the golf course that they were using.
I don't really remember there being a barn. Is there a barn? Maybe it's at West. I can't remember. You could be right. I can't remember that,
I
but
could I could be wrong, and I have no shame in that. That's okay.
yeah.
We all make
But
mistakes. Not a big thing.
there were definitely a lot of like fans and other people that were kind of unhappy with some calls that were made. I know like
Yes.
Emily Weatherman was doing really well, and then she had a call at the very end that would have, if it would have been in her favor, then she would have been in the playoff for
Yeah, that,
first.
that's another thing that people are very upset about. And my thought about it is this. Now, I only have the camera from coverage to see from. They're not
Mhm.
right above it. They're a ways away looking. So, and the players are right there looking right above it. I mean, they're not going to cheat the young lady. So for me, it's like I think it was out because of that. But a lot of people are saying that it was clearly in. I'm like, well, how do you know you weren't there? You're seeing it
Yeah.
from a camera angle.
Yeah, it's definitely hard to tell,
Hmm.
and pictures can be deceiving for sure. I wasn't there
Oh,
either. Um, I was completely exhausted after my round. I didn't stay for the finish of. Um,
take care, Charles. Feel better, my friend.
yeah, I feel better. Sorry, you're not
Mhm.
feeling great.
Hey, you can always watch it and rewind.
Yes. It'll be up on YouTube later.
Yes.
Um, anyway, I mean, from the picture, it definitely looks like, it would be a call that I would say is in. But who knows? I have to believe that they must have seen some white on the
Yeah.
other side, because I feel like if you didn't see any white, then you should definitely say, yeah, that's inbounds. Benefit should go to the player.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard to
I mean,
tell what happened.
I mean,
That's
I felt
awesome
so
though that
bad
she was
for her.
up there, and I mean, and getting third place, is phenomenal since she's
Yeah,
just
she
getting out
is.
there.
I think she's what,
Um,
18, I think.
she just turned 18. I was told that she turned 18 like right before or during Texas States, I think, is what someone was telling me.
Hmm.
So yeah, she's very young.
Yeah.
Um, and then Lisa Fakis. Oh my goodness, that was so awesome. I mean, I had the pleasure of getting to play with her during round one, and man, she crushed it, and it was very impressive watching her, and impressive getting to see her putt. Yeah, just really cool, and she's just an awesome person. It was super chill. Like, she's actually the reason I discovered doobies, because she was like, yeah, this is like embarrassing, but I've been to doobies like 3 or 4 times already this week. And I said, that's not embarrassing. Like, if they have good food, they have good food. She's like, do you want to come to lunch with me? So I went to lunch with her, and she's the one that knew about the putt thing. And she's like, yeah, I don't know if they're doing it anymore, but like you can ask. So I asked, and they were like, yeah. So we both went out there, and she did like some videos for that. And so we both putted for our meal, but didn't get it. But anyway, yeah. So she's the one that introduced me to doobies. So thank you, Lisa. That was awesome. Um,
She did not miss a single putt C1 the first two rounds.
Yeah,
It
I
was
believe it. Her
incredible.
putting was on fire. Like, I mean, just go up there and just like just smashing it in the chain just right away.
Hmm.
It was like watching Own. So very, very impressive. But yeah, we just had a fun card. Like we had a good time. In fact, most days it was like that. I'm trying to think who was on day one. I think we were like singing and dancing and joking, like joking around. It was a good time. We did the same thing a lot like the final round as well.
You want to just go ahead and jump into round one?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm kind of having a little bit of brain fart. Who were my card mates on for round one?
Okay, I know two. I don't. I missed who the third one was. It was Natalie, Lisa, and someone.
Cynthia
Cynthia. Oh,
Riccati.
Ricciardi.
Ricciardi. Okay, that's it.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So Cynthia, never played with her before. I'd never played with Natalie, and I'd never played with Lisa. So I never played with any of them. But I had a practice round with Lisa at Jonesboro, and we had a really good time together. It was Lisa and Owen and myself. Yeah, it was just super chill. Um, and playing with them, it was a really awesome card. Like, Natalie and I were talking the whole time. She was super nice. Um, Lisa and I a lot. I didn't talk to Cynthia as much, but she was chill as well. So like we all had just a really good time together, and I think that was a part of um, I was just ready to attack that day, and I felt solid about my game. I left a lot out there, but and I didn't know that I thought that a 5 over would be pretty good, but it ended up being a 930 rated round. So I was like, okay, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And going into the next day, I mean, I felt like I could do that again or do better, because there were definitely multiple birdies that I missed that were definitely birdieable for me.
Hmm.
So, of course, that did not end up being the case. That was really my only what felt like really good round, and then everything else was just kind of, um, Oh, it was actually Kimberly. Sorry, Kimberly Dickerson was the fourth on round one. That's right.
Okay.
So it was Kimberly, Natalie,
Yeah,
Lisa, and
I do
myself.
have Cynthia on round two.
Yeah, so Cynthia was round two. Okay.
Cynthia,
Yeah, and Cynthia,
Alexis, and Allie
Alexis.
Smith.
Yes, yes.
Mhm.
Um, was really excited about playing with Kimberly. So, um, a bunch of awesome people. And of course, Natalie Ryan and I are both sponsored by Neptune Discs, and they're a really great sponsor and treat their players very well and really care about their players. So that was cool being able to, play with a teammate.
Yep.
um, so yeah, so like really, really good card. We definitely there was a lot of like singing and just joking around and having fun. So we had a good time. It was a good card. And then um going into the second round. So before I get into any more of it, so I'm still not like 100% from the Lyme disease thing. I still have, I'd say, like lower energy in general, more fatigue. But 2 days before the event, I pulled a muscle like pretty bad, like in my lower side, left hand side, and it was really dumb how it happened. So I had never used one of the tech discs, and it measures your speed, the disc wobble, the nose angle, and it does like 6 different things. And the hole you were throwing on was like hole 16, which is the big water carry onto the little island that's
Hmm.
320 feet away, that feels like it plays like 350 feet away. Um, and I threw a few backhands, and I got like close to 55 miles per hour, but my nose angle was really low, so that was good, and my wobble was pretty low most of the time, so I was happy with that. And then I was going to try my forearm, and I threw that. And the very first one that I threw, I had a pain in my side and pulled. I like could tell that I pulled something, and I was like, "Oh man, this is not good." And then I still threw a couple more, which is like not a good idea. And Kimberly had never done a flex start, and so we were going to play a flex start the next day, which was Wednesday. So that was Tuesday, or no, that was Wednesday. It was Wednesday morning, and we were going to play a flex start after that. Well, they ended up calling the two flex starts. That one was on Jones East and one was on Jones West, and they called it because of lightning. And it was
Hmm.
like raining a little bit. And then Kimberly and some other people ended up playing the course, but I had to bow out because my side was hurting bad, and I was like, "Oh, this is bad. Like I have to rest it." So I spent the next 2 days just doctoring it, trying to like massage it a lot, trying to like work it out, putting heat on it, doing anything that I could to be ready for Friday. So that happened Wednesday morning, and then of course 2 days later, um, we were going to be starting on Friday. So I practiced the course on Tuesday evening, and I pretty much decided at that point that I wasn't going to practice it again because I was kind of hurting my elbow a little bit because I was throwing almost all just forehands again, but they're
Hmm.
bomber forehands. So it's like bomb after bomb after bomb just
Yep.
with forehands, and it was really like starting to make my elbow hurt. So I was like, yeah, I shouldn't do any more. I don't want to injure myself.
Don't want tennis elbow.
Yes. And it was more of like, once you knew the course, like I do think that practicing another time would have been beneficial for me, maybe. But it's kind of like, how good are you in the wind? How good are you at changing that up and figuring out what you need to do, which I didn't do a very good job of that on Saturday. So going to round two, but it wasn't only that, it was my side as well. So all of Friday, round one, I didn't really feel it until like hole 15 or 16, and then I started feeling kind of the pain in my side again. But it wasn't a sharp pain. So I wasn't worried that I was like injuring myself permanently. It was just kind of this dull pain that was like there. And I don't think it really impacted me a whole lot the first round, but it definitely impacted me the second round. And there wasn't a whole lot I could have done about it. A part of it wasn't that even like the pain was bad. It was more of that it just kind of got in my head, and I was scared of hurting myself more. So I wasn't committing to a lot of shots that I really needed to commit to, because I would feel it in my side. And then, you just, it was almost like a subconscious thing. I didn't really even realize I was doing it initially until it was kind of like a little too late, and then trying to like go back and fix that. And then my approach game was just a little off, just enough to where I was giving myself a little bit longer putts, and maybe missing some putts that I probably shouldn't have missed, at 15, 20 footers or whatever. So, and then round 2, I went OB 11 times. So I ended up with I was 6 over the first round, right?
6 over first round, yes.
Yeah, and then I was 18 over, so 3 times that the second round, and 11 of those strokes were OB strokes. So it was really bad, and a lot of times it was
three
like
OBs round 1 also.
Yes, only 3 OBs round 1 and 11 OBs the second round, and I'm not sure I could figure it out from like UDisc, but because I keep my own stats every single time on UDisc, but we didn't have a scorekeeper for round 3. So
I was going to ask you about that, because there was nothing on the PDGA. I was like,
yeah,
because I think you might have had the only card that didn't have that.
Yeah. I don't know if it's ours and maybe the card, because I wasn't ever the first card out.
Right.
The first day I was like the 4th or 5th card out, and then I was like the 3rd or 4th card out, and then I was the 2nd card out, I think.
Was it the first round? Were you that far from the first card? I thought you
Yeah,
were
so the
second card
first
first round.
round I was 840.
No. I mean the first card out, weren't you on like the second card?
Oh yeah, I think you're right. So I
Yeah, but
was
second round, you're like 4th card.
second round I was 840. That's right.
Yes.
That's right. So the first round I was the 2nd card out. You're right, because it was like 8 or 810 maybe.
Yeah.
And then the second round. That's right. Sometimes it's hard to keep track of all of these.
Because I actually have a question about that as well.
Yes. Okay. Well, what's your question? Go ahead now.
Here's the question. Every tournament you have played in, and it's random.
Yeah, it's not.
You're on one of the first 2 cards, first round.
Yeah, I am, and it makes a difference. It really does. Like when you're constantly being put on the last card. Yeah, see, there's no way it's random. They're not doing it random.
I mean, I understand.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be on the next to last card like every single time.
Right. I mean, I understand. The featured card, and then the chase card. I understand.
Yeah.
Those not being random, but the rest of them should be random to me.
Yeah, I think they should be too, because it really does put you at a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because I play better. A lot of times I'll play better when I'm playing with better players.
Right.
Or whatever. Like, I mean, there's a lot of factors into it, and obviously I need to play my game no matter who I'm playing with, but it does make a difference if you're always playing with like the same.
Do they have athletic trainers on course?
Not all the time. We do have like I don't know if he's an athletic trainer or just like a physical therapist or what he is. But the Disc Golf Pro Tour does have like a physical therapist, and I believe he was at most or all of the events last year, and maybe the year before, like the last couple years maybe. But this year he's doing a lot of that remotely. So like they have a station there where they have different bands and a couple things set up for people to like warm up and everything. And like he's available for people, but he's not actually there on site for many of the events this year.
Have you tried? I just thought about this because I see it with a lot of athletes. Did you maybe try any of that athletic tape?
Yeah, I have used it before in the past. I haven't used it much for disc golf, but for a while there, my elbow was pretty bad, like a couple years ago. And so I did use some KT tape on my elbow
Mm-hmm.
back then, but I haven't used it recently. Like I do have KT tape.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I didn't know if that would help that side or not because I've never used it, so
yeah,
I'm just kind of like, how does tape really work? But
I maybe could have looked into it to see, but I didn't look into it, and
mm,
it was kind of one of those things where sort of deep, like it didn't really seem like tape would help it. But like
right, right.
it's just one of those locations I doubt that tape would have helped, but maybe it would have, and
Mm-hmm.
I could have like looked into that. But I didn't. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
for something like an like tennis elbow, it that could definitely be useful if it got too bad.
Right, right.
But I
Um,
think part of it with that practice round was that not only was I throwing bomb after bomb after bomb, but I threw multiple drives and multiple approach shots on many holes, so
right.
I just had a lot of throws, and almost all of them are full power, trying to get as much distance as I possibly can, because like that's what you need, that's what you need on these ball golf courses, is you just want to get as much distance as possible.
Is your backhand? I mean, your forehand significantly longer than your backhand?
No, like when my backhand is on, and as it gets to be better, my backhand will definitely be longer than
Mm-hmm.
my forearm. But my forearm can generally get around, like I can get up to like 300 feet. Um, my backhand, I mean, I'm hoping that I can get it up to, back up to like mid higher 300s,
Right,
hopefully. But
right.
it's definitely not there right now. And I did try to bring that back a little bit with my backhand this weekend,
Mm-hmm.
but not a whole lot. I was still very much like not feeling confident about my backhand.
Yeah,
But also, I know that I need to start focusing on that again here
yeah. Because I
soon.
know you mentioned to us last week, week before last, that your backhand you didn't have quite that confidence in it. And I mean, mainly that was with the Berg in particular. But by the way, is the Berg back in the bag? Is the Berg feeling good?
Oh yeah, I mean the burger's always in the bag. It was just like a little bit off. So it was on point round one. I was like parking everything. Round two, it was a little bit off. And then round three, for the most part, it was pretty on.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah. So and depending on the wind, like where it was a little bit more windy, sometimes I won't use the berg, or if it's more of like a hyzer line, maybe I'll do like the zone, or I would use the hex some as well.
Let's talk about round one because I was looking at it. You started out with a par, which I think that's a good par on that
That's
first
a
hole.
really good part. Yeah,
I've
I
seen
pretty
many
much
people throw
played
into the
it
road.
perfectly. Yeah, I had a great forehand. I did forehand, forehand, and then that got me like, I don't know, 150 from the basket, maybe a little bit more, somewhere around that. And then I flicked, I think the hex like right up to the base of the basket, and I had a tap in par.
Um, well, just for people who want to know this, because I'm sure no one does. But the first time I saw this course, it was on a skins doubles, a mixed doubles tournament, and it happened to be the first time I ever saw Rebecca Cox play, and I fell in love with that course. I thought it was so cool. But
Yeah, it's essentially an 1,000-foot hole.
yes, yes. I mean, they claim it's only 999. I think that
999,
I
yeah,
think it's
but
really 1,000.
yeah, it's pretty much 1,000.
See, then hole two, we got a bogey on hole two.
Yeah, and that was dumb. Like I had a great drive, had a great approach drive, put it right up there. I had what should have been a very basic, easy approach shot, and I put it fairly close, and then just just a little short. Like I gave myself a little bit more of a putt and just missed the first putt,
Mhm.
first putt of the tournament. So, but I definitely should have made that. Like I played it well, but it's especially in courses like these, if you don't have that crazy distance, like a lot of other of these FPO players, they can make way more mistakes.
Yeah.
And it's forgiven because they get so far up the fairway. But for a player like me, with the distance that I have currently, I can't do that. Every part of my game has to be on in order for me to do really well. My drives need to be on, my approaches need to be on, my putting needs to be on. You can't, yeah, you can't really have any part of that off. So it would be super nice to be able to get, 30, 40, 50 feet of distance,
Mhm.
because it makes a huge difference.
Well, speaking of the entire game coming together, holes 3 and 4 went birdie birdie.
Yeah, so that one just was, I played it pretty perfectly. I had a drive out there, and then I had a backhand approach with my glow Svea, put it, I think, like right outside of the bullseye, and then, made that putt. And then hole 4 was much more impressive. So I had a pretty good drive. And then I had a very nervy backhand because there's OB to the left. So if you have the backhand, like it's so easy to go OB if you don't hit that right, and, not being confident in my backhand. But I got up there and I was just like, I'm going to throw this backhand. I'm going to throw it well. And I threw it really well. I probably used a disc that could have been slightly more stable. So it would have had a little bit more of a flare skip to the basket. But as was, I ended up like right at the edge of circle 1. And then I made the putt from the edge of the circle to get the birdie
Nice.
on that hole. So it was really clutch. I was really happy with it.
Nice. Then you went on a 3 straight hole par stretch. Par,
Yeah.
par, par.
Yep. That one I had a good drive, and then I just needed to give more airtime to my second shot. Maybe I could have given myself a chance to get the birdie on the next hole, but I never got the birdie on that hole. Sadly, it was definitely a birdieable hole. But then the next one, yeah, I mean, with using the flick on the next hole, which would have been hole 6,
Yep.
right? Yeah, hole
6.
6.
6. Mm-hmm.
It's just too far for me to really get to the basket with my flick. If I use my backhand, maybe I'd get a little bit closer. But I was pretty nervous about the wind and the OB that was there to try to do my backhand. So the best I did was get to like circle 2 or just outside of circle 2 on that hole, and then I just pitched up to put it really close to the basket. It's also a raised basket, so that makes it a little more scary. You really want to be, pretty close to the basket. Yeah, so I think I maybe parred. Did I par that one every time? I think I parred that one every time. I'm not positive.
Hole 6, parred all 3 rounds. Yes.
Yep.
And then 7, another par. So through 7, we're at 1 under.
Oh yeah, that was pretty exciting.
That's pretty cool. And then the 2 really tough holes come back to back. There was really 8, 9, and 10 were all 3 really difficult holes.
Yeah, I played 7 really well too. I mean, that's a tough hole because,
Mm-hmm.
again, especially for someone with my distance, because they have that OB there that's like right in the middle.
Yep.
That is where I'm putting the disc on my drive. I could very easily go OB on the next throw. Like it's right in my distance. So it's like in those cases, it's like if you don't have if you don't have more of that distance, or you're throwing a flick off the tee, it's a huge disadvantage to have the power that I have, because you're going right in the OB, which is what I actually did the final day. Like I had never gone OB on hole 7 until the final day. I'd never gone OB on hole 5 until the final day. I was just like finding on OBs on multiple holes that I'd never had OBs either round 1 or round 2.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, hole 7, I did my drive, and then my approach drive was just in front of the OB, so I didn't cross over. And then I put a really nice approach drive shot fairly close to the basket, and then made the par. So I was really happy with that. And then hole 8 is a very tough hole.
Is hole 8 the one that kind of goes downhill, then up and around? And they
And so it goes
really moved the
downhill, then
OB
up, and then back down.
because there's a pipe like right on the right side, isn't it?
No, that's hole 9.
That's hole 9. Okay.
Yeah, so hole 8 is still really long. It's like 870 something. It's like 900 feet. And
Yep.
it's just narrow. It's just OB all the way along. And there's like OB to the right. There's a trail that's OB to the right. And then there's a line that's OB. And then you get to water.
All right.
That's also to the left of the fairway. So anyway, I threw my drive exactly how I wanted to on 8, and it went OB. But it was beautiful. Like it just didn't. It was a flick, and it was supposed to go back, but it just kept going straight. It was like, not my most stable grace, but my next to most stable grace, which is still fairly stable. So I was extremely surprised that it just kept gliding, and it just kept going straight right into the OB, and it never really faded at the end. So that was fine, but then I just played the rest of the hole pretty cleanly, just kept working it up the fairway and stayed in. And I think I got a 6 on that, right?
7.
Got a 7. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how that hole went, but I think that's the only time I went OB, I believe, on the on was that one time, my drive on that hole.
Todd says only Stacy Ronsley got a birdie on hole 8.
Yep.
Not
She's
too
got
shabby.
the power. Actually, somebody, Katie actually got the birdie on that hole round 3. I'm pretty sure. I think so. Yeah, I mean, you could check. I can't check since I'm on my phone, but
Well, let me
I
see.
think round 3, Katie Beltley, I believe she got a 4. Because I don't even think we realized it, and then she was like 4. Is like, oh wow, because both Deanne, Carey, and myself, we went OB at least once.
On hole 8.
Yes.
Let's see, round 3. I'm not seeing. Yep, Katie Belty.
Yep.
That's who you're talking about. Okay. Not too shabby.
Yeah, that's a really, really good bird to have. And she throws far, and she throws like everything on a hyzer and throws that far. So it's going a hyzer, but she's getting like 350 feet on hyzer.
Well, so, man, that's going to make it tough in wooded courses, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I guess she just has to use more like flippy discs.
Wait a minute. I just thought she does the same thing, so never mind. Has those hyzers as well.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then 9 was that downhill one. Then it goes up, and then it turns, and then the pin is like stuffed in the woods.
Yeah, and there's OB really close to it to the right, and all the way along the fairway to the right as you turn.
That's the one that they moved in the line. They said it's because of a lot of potential stand-in water and stuff. And it used to just really like straight away didn't really have an OB, but they moved that way in this year.
Yeah, that was a really tough hole.
Mm-hmm.
I went OB on my drive every single round.
Mm-hmm. I
on that.
mean, in order to have a good shot, I mean, one, you have to have distance, and two, you really have to hug that right hand side. It's just not. That doesn't look like a fun hole.
It's a very tough hole. I don't mind it. I wish I would have been able to attack it a little bit better. I kind of
Hmm.
want to. I want a redemption.
See, then 10, we got a par on 10.
Yep, played that one really well. That one actually, I shorted my approach shot a little bit and had edge of circle one, another edge of circle one putt to a raised basket. So that was really a really clutch par save on hole 10.
See,
And then
then,
I got a bogey on hole 11, right? Which was
yep.
so dumb, like so dumb. I had an awesome drive. Um, it was really good. Got out there, like no problem at all. I think I had a good drive every single round on that hole. And then I just shorted the well, actually no, it was a little high and the wind took it and went down. But it wasn't that tough of a putt. Like I definitely should have made it. It was like maybe 15 to 17 feet, and then I missed it, and then had a tap in.
Oh.
So that one was just dumb. Like I shouldn't have gotten a bogey on it.
And then there's 4 straight holes with pars.
Yep.
And then hole 16. Right off the bat of this question.
I was really proud of parring 15 because that
Oh,
that one can be a really tough one to par too. But I played it really well and had a
355.
very easy putt, like bullseye or close to bullseye, maybe just outside of bullseye for the par. So I was really happy about that one.
All right, now when we get to 16, what's it like walking up there and you're standing on that hole? I mean, when you see it on TV, it looks so intimidating.
It's a very, very intimidating hole. So I hadn't gone for the green yet. And I didn't until the final round, actually. So I was trying to go to the right. And I didn't get to practice it during the practice round. Like I was going to try to do like at least one throw.
Hmm.
But Ricky Wysocki and his crew were all recording the video for the commercial thing that they had.
Okay.
I'm sure you saw it with like the basket was all wrecked.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were doing that when I
For the
was
general.
practicing on Tuesday. Yeah. So he was like doing a lot of throws, and I didn't even get to practice to lay up because there was like a bunch of people standing there to the right in my way, and then there were a bunch of people on the island doing stuff. So like I couldn't even practice the hole. So I was stayed there for a little while, and then I was like, well, I guess I'm not going to get to practice this hole. So I went to 17, and that's when I had my 200-foot throw in on hole 17 from the side. So that's I got a birdie, a throw in birdie from 200 feet on hole 17 during my practice round.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
But anyway, so yeah, so hole 16 was really dumb the first round. I tried to just lay it up. I flicked a disc, but the wind just really like pushed it, and it pushed it just barely OB, like well on the other just a little bit on the other side of the walkway. So that was really disappointing. I was like, man, I wasn't even trying to go for it, and I still went OB. And then I just laid up and took my medicine, took the bogey.
What goes into your mind on whether to go for it on that hole or to lay up on that hole? Because I mean, I know there's a ton of factors in it, but for you, when you're standing there deciding which to do, I mean, what kind of goes into your mind on it?
I think it would be a couple things. One would be like how I'm feeling about whatever shot it is that I would throw if I were trying to go for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, how was my backhand feeling? And obviously, since my backhand hasn't been feeling good, I didn't want to do it. I feel like forehand for someone like me, if I'm not like a guy or I don't have like a crazy forehand, that's just not a good idea. Like, you're almost always going to go OB unless you have like crazy power.
Hmm.
So backhand would be the play for me, but even for me to reach that distance is really difficult right now. In fact, I tried to do it on the final round. So I tried to lay up, I went OB every single round on 16.
Yeah.
I tried to lay up the first 2 days. First day was more of like a hyzer that was higher up and it went down and the wind pushed it. OB. The second day there was a tailwind, so I was like, okay, well that's going to make the disc more stable. So I threw a passion and was again trying to lay up, and that passion just flew so straight. It just kept going straight, 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 straight. Never even hit land. It just stayed in the water. So I lost.
Wow.
I lost. That disc. So that was the first disc I lost. And then the third day, I was just like, why not? You know, this is the hole to do it. You have to, you know, it's like a rite of passage, I guess, for DDO. So I was like, well, I have to do it. Um, and I threw a Hades and I threw the most perfect, beautiful little like flip up. It kept going. It was going like straight, had good height, just kept going straight, straight, straight towards the island. I was like, man, it looks good. It looks like it's gonna land on the island. Like everybody with me on the card, Andy, everyone was like, yeah, this, you know, we all thought it looked good, and then it just dropped down like right before the island. So it was OB, but it. I couldn't have, in terms of like technical skills and form and how I threw the disc, it was pro level. Like it was beautiful. It was a beautiful throw, and I don't think I could have done anything better. Like I just don't have the distance right now and need to like
Hmm.
figure out how to get more of that distance. But I couldn't have done any better in terms of my effort. So I was pretty proud of that. And to me, in my heart, it made it on the island.
I'll tell you what was really interesting about that hole. One, on the final day, for some reason they randomly showed Deanne Carey teeing off, and I was like, "Hey, there's Rebecca standing right behind her."
Yeah,
I was
nice.
like, "They're gonna show the whole card," but they didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, "Why? Why randomly Deanne?"
Because Deanne was throwing a really hot round. She
Oh,
threw
was
like
she? Okay.
two down. Yeah, she had a really good round. I think she ended up shooting like two down or something, or maybe
Hmm.
she had a, yeah, she had a really good round. I think that's probably why.
Okay. I was just like, well, that's kind of random, but okay. But the other thing I thought was interesting is now I don't know where the drop zone has been or where it is now, but they kept saying the commentators it was Sarah Hokum and Ian was commentating, and they were like, where they moved the drop zone, they might as well just go for it. And I was like, okay,
I mean, if you go for it, then if you miss, you're going in the water probably.
yeah, but you're going, but they were saying because where the drop zone is now,
Uh,
you're better off just making the run. Which I was like,
yeah.
okay, I didn't know. I was like, from your perspective, like where's the drop zone to the green?
Okay, so you know where Missy Gannon was putting for on the playoff at
Yeah.
hole 16?
Mm-hmm.
It's like 10 feet from that back. Like it's, so she was on the one side of the
The little
bridge. It's
bridge.
like just back on the other side and back
Mm-hmm.
behind the bridge. And the four corner, you're like right next
Yeah.
to the wall on that far side.
Yeah.
So
So
you're
you're going to lay up
putting
and take a four.
towards the basket and the water is to the left.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, if you go for it and like I didn't even go for it in the final round. So I got a four the first 2 rounds because it went OB, and then I just laid up. And then even the final round, all I was trying to do, like I went for it, and then of course it was in the water, so I went to the drop zone, and I was just trying to lay up again, and it it ended up landing down and then rolling in the water. Yeah.
I would say this Missy's putt on the final round in the
In the
extra
playoff.
holes, that was insane.
Oh, it was so clutch. That putt was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Union Street Social afterwards. Leah, Katie, and then Sunny showed up, and it was myself.
By the
And
way,
we kind
Sonny, greatest name ever.
of, yeah. Yeah, very cool night. We had an
Sunny
awesome time there.
Stansberry.
But we were all watching the coverage together, like as we were there, like eating and having some drinks, and it was a really good time. And right before Missy's about to putt it, Leah was like, "She's gonna make it." He's like, "She's gonna make it," and sure enough, she just put it right in
Oh,
there.
I was like, she's throwing it right in the water. That's what I was thinking.
Leah called it. She was like, "She's gonna make it."
Wow, that's awesome.
So
But
yeah, but no, it's a very intimidating hole, and pretty much what you want to do is use a disc that you are okay with losing, and not getting back. Um, but yeah, I'm surprised I didn't, because they had DZ was scuba diving and going in the water like pretty much every day and trying to get discs, and I didn't lose any discs the first day, because even my OB on 16, it was on land.
mhm.
But then I lost two discs on the second day, and then I lost the one disc in the final round on hole 16. So I lost three discs total. Um, and two of them were on 16, and then the one, my green star turn, was on hole 18. And that's the only one I really, really, really want back. I put it on like the picture, I put the video of me throwing it in the water on hole 18 on my Instagram. So if you're like in the Emporia, Kansas area and you're going fishing for discs, then I would be super, super, super happy to get that disc back. I also tagged DZ in it, and they said that, they'd keep an eye out and definitely let me know if they find it. So I really hope they find that one. I mean, I'd like the other ones back, but I don't care as much about those ones as I do with the star turn. Or maybe it's a
So,
pro turn. I don't know. I can't remember.
but all in all, 17 was bogey. Then you finished with a par, but 6 over. When I was following along, I was like, "Oh wow, that's a great round. That is going to be a great, great round." And I was like, "Man, it's so awesome, so awesome."
So hole 18, I made a really clutch putt to end with the par.
Hmm.
So it's a raised basket. I was on the left side. I was again like probably like 25 to 27 feet from the basket, maybe more.
Hmm.
And I was just like that. I was like, I'm gonna make this putt. I was just dialed and put it right in the basket. And when it's a raised basket, I always feel like you need to add like 5 feet to it because it's way more intimidating. So it was more like I made like an edge of circle one or a circle two putt.
Yeah, I'm always short on a raised basket, always,
Yeah.
because I know if I don't make it, it's going to keep on going.
Yeah. It makes a big difference. I don't know what it is about raised baskets. They just seem a lot harder. But I made it was the second round. I made like an edge of circle one putt on a different one of the raised baskets. That was a really, really cool putt as well. So had some decent putting out there. Now today I played the league again at Unger Park here in St. Louis, and I did not do very well. My rating it was only 4 strokes worse than last Monday, but the rating is really terrible. So
Hmm.
I'm kind of sad that I ended up doing it. But my putting was on fire. I made like 2 or 3 circle two putts. I made another 2 or 3 edge of circle one putts. My putting was feeling really, really good today. So that was
Nice.
nice. Hopefully I can keep that going.
Let's see. Round one. Let's see, where is it at? Putting. Um, 4 for 9 C1X, 44%.
Yeah, and that's hard to know because, like, you have sometimes that's probably a little more correct, but sometimes you do have scorekeepers that
Yeah.
don't actually know where your disc is exactly, if
Oh,
it's like circle one or where at in circle one it is.
yeah.
So,
I was watching one event. They put approximately how far you are on the screen. One of them says 70 feet, and I was like, that's like a 15-foot putt. What are they talking about?
Yeah. Sometimes they have scorekeepers that really like know what they're doing,
Mm,
and at Jonesboro, actually, like second round before I quit, they actually ended up, I think, swapping out the scorekeepers because the scorekeeper did not know what he was doing, and he kept like coming up to the caddies and the players and like asking like, okay, like what did you do, like what did you get, and it was like super distracting. And yeah, so obviously we're very thankful for the volunteers and the people that score keep, but it it does make it really difficult then when the scorekeepers don't really know what they're doing sometimes. But I think in general most people know what they're doing, but
mhm.
it just depends.
All right. Round two. How much do you want to talk about round two?
Oh man. Well, again, it was a lot of it. So who were my card mates? So that was Cynthia and
Let me go back to my other sheet.
Alexis and Allie.
Yeah, Alexis Kerman, Cynthia Ricciardi, and Allie Smith.
Yeah. So I think there was also some singing then. I can't remember. Anyway, we had a good time. So another thing that happened round two is we were waiting a really, really long time on every single hole.
Mm-hmm.
Which was crazy because they put a 20-minute gap between that card. Like there were 10-minute gaps before that, but there was a 20-minute gap. So they had a tee time at eight, maybe did it start at 7:50? I can't remember. It was 7:50 or
I,
8,
I think it's
and then
something like that. Yeah.
8:10, 8:20, and then 8:40.
Which is funny because I was looking at and I noticed that as well. That before yours there's a 20-minute gap. I was like, that's kind of odd. It's 10, 10, 10,
And it
20.
was the card in front of us.
Mm-hmm.
And Allie was getting really like, she was not happy about it. She was like, why in the world, like, are we, I mean, we caught up to them and we were waiting on hole 2.
Oh my goodness.
Hole 2. Yeah. And
Wow.
so we had to call like the TD and the course people, and we were like, hey, like we're waiting on every hole, and the card in front of them was getting like a card in front of them, 2 cards, or sorry, holes, like a hole in front of them, 2 holes,
Mm-hmm.
3 holes in front of them. And we were just sitting here waiting, waiting, waiting. So that also impacted my round when you're like,
Yeah.
I really don't like getting the weather wasn't great. It was like it started out warmer, believe it or not, in the morning, and then the temperature dropped. So I wasn't as well prepared. I even had Andy like run to the car and get like a toboggan and get another jacket for me because I was just getting so cold, which was making it hard for me to play. My side was hurting me, like the pulled muscle. I was feeling it from the very beginning. So that was impacting me.
Yep.
I was cold. It was raining on and off. We were waiting on every single tee pad pretty much until like later on. Um, and at first we were waiting because some of the players on the card in front of us were taking over a minute to play.
Mm-hmm.
So first we had like them timed, and then the marshals or the people there like gave them a warning, and then it was going to be kind of be up to us um to call it later on. But I guess then I think because there were kind of 2 people on the card that were taking longer, one that was taking like over a minute, and then one that was just taking like 45, 50 seconds maybe. And then when they were warned, then they did start going a little bit faster, but then they just started playing kind of, more poorly. So they just had more throws.
Right.
And so it was just slow for that, but they did start speeding up a little bit. Um, but yeah, but we were waiting on most holes and sometimes waiting for like a really long time. And just sitting there and like talking and doing whatever. But it's definitely not very fun as to be waiting for a long time, especially when it's cold.
So when when they get a warning, why would it? Did you say it would be up to your card whether or not they get a penalty?
That's what they told us. They told us that we should like call them on it.
I mean,
later
shouldn't
because
that be on
I
the official to do that at that point? Since the official is now warning them, shouldn't
yeah,
the
but
official be the
they
one that makes that?
yeah, for whatever reason they were leaving because they were like, okay, well that seems like they're. I guess they had gotten to a point to where now they were staying on time. I guess.
Hmm.
So I don't know it. I don't know exactly what happened, and that was kind of
Okay.
confusing to me too because I had never really heard that. Like I
Mhm.
didn't know that we were allowed to stroke the card in front of us or someone on the card in front of us. Um,
I'm just thinking, like using that logic, I'm now thinking if I'm on the second card, is like, can I like, and somebody's playing? No, if I'm on the first card, excuse me, on the featured card, lead card, final round, someone's catching me on the second card. I'm gonna be like, they're going to say, I'm stroking them. It's like,
I mean, you'd have definitely have to time them. You know, you would
yeah, but
have to time
it
them to
seems
see that.
ridiculous to think that you can stroke someone on a different card. That just
Yeah,
seems
I
ridiculous.
never heard anything like that. So I would definitely be curious to like figure out more about that and what the actual rules are.
Okay.
But yeah, so it was just a rough day, felt off, like, and my side was a big
Hmm.
factor of that.
I
And
mean,
this is a course that if you're a little bit off, you're going OB, which is exactly what happened to me. And there were numerous times where I was OB by 2-3 feet, you know, but that's
mhm.
all it takes. On hole 8 alone, I went OB 3 times. 3 times. I got a 9 on it. There was
Yeah.
someone that got a couple of people that got a 10 on it, but still,
Yeah.
I was like, well, that doesn't make me feel better. A 9 is
No.
still like it's two double bogeys in one hole.
Like, man. Um, yeah, I mean, so to me, I'm just like this one. Do you know Christine Jennings?
I'm not well, but yes, I know like who she
Because I
is.
saw her, she's kind of like one of the officials, or she has a like an official
Yeah. She's
capacity.
actually one of the people that drove
Mhm.
down and was like checking the time. There were like, I think maybe two different people that came. She came and then someone
Mhm.
else came and
But
yeah.
she was bundled up like an Eskimo. I mean, I saw her just walking around like this half the time. Like it was like covering her face. I was like, gosh, poor
Yeah,
Christine.
yeah. I
But
mean, it
then
was
like
it
in
was
your
really
case,
cold, and the wind just
mhm,
made it so much colder. So
right.
I mean, I've played in 30-degree weather and everything, or
Yep.
like low 30s,
Hmm.
and this was in like the 50s, but it felt like it was in the 30s
Yep.
because of the wind chill. It was just so windy and made it feel very cold, and then it would start raining on and off, so you were cold, you were a little bit wet. It wasn't the best conditions ever.
Yeah, 'cause, I mean, I look at in your case. I mean, for like well, anybody's case, it's like having that you can't get a rhythm going. You just can't do it when it's just delay after delay after delay. Your throws like now you got to wait to throw again, and then second, you just being loose, and like that's going to keep tightening up on you. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's not a good day.
Yeah. And everybody did, like a lot of people did really poorly. So much so that I threw an 18 over on round 2 and that was rated, what was it?
880.
880. And
Mm-hmm.
then I shot 4 strokes better the next day and that was 874.
873. 873.
873.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 4 strokes better was 7 points worse
Mm-hmm.
the following day. So you
Yeah.
can that gives you an idea of how difficult the course was playing on round
Yeah.
2.
I mean, to see that anybody on the league card playing good that day was just incredible. Because I think oh, what's her name? Doggone it, let me find her. Lisa, I
I,
think she
I
had
was
a good
really
round that
excited
day.
that Lisa was still crushing it, doing really well, and was, yeah,
Yeah, she shot 3 under that day.
yeah, that's insane for those
Mm-hmm.
conditions. That was amazing.
Wow.
I was
Um,
really excited to see her doing well. I love it.
One thing about her, there's two things that when I watch her play that it's clear it's her. One is when she throws that, like I said before, that left hand. I think she almost grabs her leg when she throws.
Yeah.
And the second thing is her hat. It is perfectly flat.
Very flat. Yeah, she definitely has a unique style.
Yes, but hey, she seems awesome.
It's working for her and she's doing well and I would love to see her win something. I think that would be so cool, especially considering she's open bag, you know?
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yep.
Wow, good for her. I mean, I've been watching her for a long time, and she's a really good player. So, Lisa, you're right there. You're right there. Anything else about round two? Yeah,
No, it
yeah.
was it was a bummer. Well,
Okay.
other than I was very proud of myself. I felt like I kept a very positive attitude.
Mm-hmm.
Um really didn't, like I've seen a lot of people getting very upset and kind of they definitely impact the other players. I felt like I kept in a really good headspace the whole time
Mm-hmm.
and that's a big goal of mine because my game is going to improve. I am going to get better for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm not working on my mental game the entire time, then that's not going to matter because when it matters for me to stay strong and have a good mental game, then if my physical game is there, my mental game will end up falling apart. And so to me, especially if I'm feeling like my physical game is kind of not where I'd like it to be, I can still always work on the mental game aspect of it. So I was very proud of that. Especially seeing even people, who've been playing for a really long time who kind of lose it or you can tell like they're letting the fact that they missed a putt or they had a bad throw, it just the
Yep.
snowball effect of how it impacts their game so negatively. And that's not to say that that hasn't happened to me, but I feel like I haven't really had an event, a disc golf pro tour event yet that I felt like, oh yeah, I played every single round really well. There's always been at least one or two rounds where I'm like, yeah, I'm not very happy about it. Like I was very happy with my first round, was not very happy at all with my second or third round.
Now,
Um,
oh, all
Go
right.
ahead.
I was gonna say one of the things now. Again, according to the stats, 9 for 12 from C1X putting. So there's their positivity, pulling it right out right there.
That was round two?
Round two.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think my putting was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Round two.
Now, if we just got rid of those OBs,
Yes.
uh, oh yeah, and a big thing about that day was it was Star Wars Day, and hole 16, in or out, the guy comes up dressed as a Jedi. If it's in, he had the green lightsaber. If it's out, he had the red lightsaber. I was like,
It was
that's
so
awesome.
cool. Yeah, I got a picture with him and
Yeah.
posted that on my story. It was so cool. Yeah, I thought that was awesome. That was cool. And thing, another main thing to mention about hole 16 was there were like the
The
flamingo
Mingos.
Mingos guys that were there all dressed in pink and one guy had like a captain hat on that was like hot pink and there was like a ton of hot pink and just random pink. It was really cool. It was
Mm-hmm.
very fun. And they really hyped us up and yeah, we really appreciated them being there. So that was another super cool thing. I mean, and that's just something you don't get to experience at a lot of other places. I feel like there were a lot more people in like the community and groups that were there and were a part of the event that you just don't see that really anywhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to mention the Mingo guys at the end, but just watching, looking at those guys, I was like, that's an awesome crew. It's like
They were really, really
like
cool.
Maple Hill, you got hole 8. You got the crowd all around there, and they're going completely insane on every shot going across the water. So it's cool to see those little things where it's like they bring something special to their area and their course. Like that
Yeah.
is awesome, guys. The Mingos. Now we go to round 3. We may come back. Made a little bit of a comeback.
Yeah, I mean the round was still rated worse, which wasn't the best. Like so the conditions were definitely better on the
Mm-hmm.
final day. Um and one of the things that I decided from the beginning was, even though my side was hurting, unless I felt like I was going to injure it, because it hadn't been any sharp pain yet. So I was like, okay, as long as I don't have sharp pain, then my goal is like, I really need to commit to these shots. And I accomplished that goal. So I was very happy about that. Um, but again, I was just finding OB on the thing with round 3 was just that I was finding OB on holes that I hadn't found OB on any other round, like not in my practice round, not in round 1 or round 2. So hole 2, 3, no, so hole 4 is an example of that. So I threw my drive and then threw the backhand, and then it hit the side, and then my disc bounced over the little OB sign.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was only like circle 2 away from the basket, and then I just shorted it. Like I didn't even have I don't know why, I'm just like having a bad depth perception or something, or distant. Like I just need to practice it more. It's definitely my fault. Um, but I think I just need to practice that, like edge of circle 2, middle of circle 2, middle of like circle 3 approach shots with trying to kind of like putt towards it, because I put the disc like 20 feet from the basket, like 15, 20 feet from the basket. I think it was closer to 20, and then I missed that putt. So I went OB, and then I missed the putt. So I got a double bogey, I think, on that, right? Wasn't it 6?
Yep, 6 on 4. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I mean, at worst, it should have been a 5 because I was right there, not very far from the basket. There was really no reason for me to get anything above a 5. And then the next
But
hole,
that's coming off of a birdie on 3.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, which does make it a little bit more likely. I've found it's so much easier to do worse on a hole after you've done like really well, because there's
Mm-hmm.
kind of that pressure. So the next hole, I lost my beloved green star turn, which is an older star turn, so it's definitely a different plastic type than the
Mm-hmm.
plastics that they're making now. So at the block party the night before, I purchased 2 more star turns, and I put one of them in my bag. And I didn't throw it. I didn't practice with it at all, and it made its debut round 3 on hole 5. Would that been hole 5, right?
Hole
On
5,
hole
yes.
5,
Mm-hmm.
and it felt so good in my hand. I threw it beautifully. I threw it a backhand, and I was like, man, this is like a really great disc. And I still think it's a great disc. But then on my second throw, part of the problem was where I'm not super confident with my backhand. Sometimes it'll click and I'll throw really well and it'll be just so straight and like really good. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what happened on my second shot. I threw it so well that it was too good, that it just kept going straight, and it almost went back in bounds, but just barely didn't. So then I went OB on that hole, and I had never been OB on that hole before. And so I got the bogey. Then the next hole I played it pretty much how I played it every other time, got the 3. Then hole 7, I threw my drive, it was good. And then I tried to go over and threw that turn again, the star turn, and it went really well, but it was like the middle of the OB. So then I went OB on that hole, which I had not gone OB on that hole any round. So yeah, and then I think maybe I think I only went OB once on hole 8 though, the final day maybe. So that was better. Then went OB again twice on hole 9 on the drive, and then I threw a great next shot. And then my approach to the basket just barely went OB in that stuff to the right. And then actually made a not a great approach shot to it, but thankfully I saved bogey by making a good putt.
Nice.
So yeah. So anyway, like I said, just a lot of going OB. Let me see, that was hole 9. Then we had hole 10.
Yep. 10, 11, bogey.
11, and then 12. Yeah, so I got
12 and 13 were both pars.
I'm trying to think which one it was is the uphill one. So we had 9, 10. So 10 was 10 a bogey?
I don't know.
Yeah, so that one I did pass the basket a ways with my hex. And I had I think that one I can't remember if that was the one I had a pretty decent putt and I thought it was in and then it went out. And then didn't I par the next one?
12 and 13 were pars. 14 was a bogey. That was a par 5 bogey. 15 was par.
Yeah. Well, I definitely went OB on one of those that I hadn't gone OB on. I think the one downhill. Yeah, and then I saved bogey actually by making the edge of circle 1 putt to the raised basket. That was 15, hole 14, hole 13, hole 12, I think. Hole 12 was a bogey?
No, 12 was par. You had hole 10 was a bogey, 11 was a bogey, 12 and 13 were pars.
11. Okay, it was hole 11.
Okay.
That's right. I think hole 11.
That's a par 3, 326.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to remember when you're playing the same course 3 rounds.
Yep.
To not mix up what you did on an individual hole from like one round to the other. Usually I remember, but sometimes it's more difficult.
I'm the same way. Like I play Peachtree Park a lot, and like half the time I was like, "Wait, last time I got a par. Wait, no, that was a birdie last time. I can't remember."
Yeah. So I think more of like the takeaway from round 3 was I definitely struggled more emotionally that round. Like I didn't feel as good about it, but part of that was just because I was like so ready for the round. I was ready for it. I felt good. Like I was able to overcome the whole side injury thing. And then I still ended up not doing well. You know, even though I felt like I was there, I felt like I was doing all the things that I needed to do. And then another thing that was like just a huge bummer and I was honestly pretty upset about was that I played hole 17 like perfectly. I had like a pretty good drive. I even threw the backhand off the drive with the star turn, which was like a scary, more nerve-wracking thing for me because, you know, there's OB on the left, and a Mando and OB on the right. So I was pretty happy with that. And then I threw, you know, my approach shot, put myself in position to approach the basket. That drive was beautiful. All of this whole entire hole is actually on my Instagram stories currently. And then I flicked my passion over to hole 17, put it like 7-8 feet from the basket. It was so like I played it so perfectly, and then I like missed the basket. I completely just whiffed it. Like I think I saw the video and I barely hit like one chain to the right and just it just went straight past it. So I like played the hole perfectly.
Oh,
I should have gotten par, and then that was like my ending essentially to my final round. And it was more than that too. And maybe I just put a little bit too much pressure on myself because this is my last Disc Golf Pro Tour event for like a month and a half or 2 months, whenever, because I'm not doing the West Coast swing at all because it's too expensive, and trying to travel there and then pay for all of that. It's just would be too expensive to do that. So I'm not going to the West Coast swing. Hopefully, like maybe next year I'll be able to do some of that, but we'll see. So my next Disc Golf Pro Tour event is the Des Moines Challenge, which I believe is in the beginning of like July, I think. So, I really I had a really bad round the day before, went through OB so many times, it just felt bad, but, I kept a good attitude or whatever, and I was still trying to maintain a positive outlook about everything. But it was the final round, and I really just wanted to do a good job. And I had started out the tournament by being 28th place out of, like 43 competitors, which was
yep.
awesome. I was like super excited about it. And last year, my very first year playing any Disc Golf Pro Tour events, before like I got really sick, I think I got like 26th place at the very last Disc Golf Pro Tour event I played, which was my fourth Disc Golf Pro Tour event. So, like I know I can do that. I know I can compete and play better. And then I just kind of gave it away. I gave it away in the second round, then gave it away in the third round, and that was very frustrating to me. And then had some other like personal stuff going on. So it was just a rough day. I'm a bit discouraged even right now still, and been kind of struggling with um disc golf game a little bit, uh with just the fact that it seems like there's just been so many issues and in like punches essentially that I've gotten in life lately.
Mhm.
And I know I'm not gonna uh go into like the victim mentality or anything. I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna do my best to like stay positive and whatever happens. But I've been through a lot more than most people have to go through, like in the last year and a half, and even in a
Yep.
lot of my life. But like going through cancer and then having endometriosis and then um other like health issue things. And then to find out a few weeks ago, I got Lyme's disease. And then right before I start and like figuring out I have Lyme disease right as I'm getting back to being like close to 100% from everything that's happened over the years. Like you get up to the top, and then as soon as you do, you like get knocked back down, and then that I'm still not back to 100% from the Lyme disease stuff, and then I pull something in my side, so it just felt like, oh man, like I can't get a break. So that was a little discouraging, and I know there are reasons for why things happen, and some of it is like I need to put more work in, or it's just the process and it's just going to take time to get where I want to, where I know I can get to, and I'm okay with the waiting. But it's definitely been a little bit discouraging the
Yep.
past week or so.
Todd says, I wish courses would have no OB.
Yes, to me, the best designed courses have very little to no OB.
Hmm. I mean, I've said this before. I mean, like at that course, you have water. That's got to be OB, obviously.
Yeah,
But outside of that, I think you got to have like an OB between fairways if they're like side by side. Kind of,
yeah,
I don't think you should be able to go in an opposite fairway. Some courses they have it where it's not OB,
yeah.
but other than that, you know, a spectator area. But you know,
Yeah, I mean, even for spectator areas in some places, like those aren't OB a lot of
yeah.
times. You'll have like
Um,
a yellow string line that they kind of have partitioned off, but it's
mhm.
still not OB. I mean, they had that a lot. I remember
What was?
particularly there were multiple areas at Texas State that were
Hmm.
like that.
Yes, I think was it at Texas State where on 18 Holland went over a barrier, over a crowd, and yet that was still not OB. And I was like, that's really odd.
Really? On 18? I think that was OB
It
on
wasn't for
18.
her. I
Are you
think it
sure
was
it was
Texas.
18?
Yeah, because and that's the one that kind of goes downhill. Then there's a like a little creek you
Oh.
go over. I think it was Texas
Oh no,
State.
you're talking about Jonesboro.
Jonesboro, yes,
Yeah, because I was like, no, Texas State. So it was definitely that was the water carry one,
yes,
and it was
yes,
definitely OB.
yes. That's that one, yeah. But I'm just like,
Yes.
well, she went over the little barrier they had,
Yeah.
and then they had people sitting there, and it cleared them.
Yeah, I do think in that case that probably should have been OB.
I thought it should have been because when she did, I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, I think we talked about that at the time because
yeah.
I don't think I knew that it had happened. But yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah. I mean, but that's what you kind of have to do in on ball golf courses, and that's one reason it makes it not as good because it's like, you know, it's so much better to be able to have natural OB where you're like, if you get off the fairway, then you're being punished
Yeah.
already. You don't need an extra stroke for that. Like, and if you
Hmm.
can have a good enough shot that you can get out and get back to the fairway or where you want to be for the next shot, then like you should be rewarded for that, you
Yeah.
know. But instead, if you go outside of an area and it's all open, then you know you're OB. And
Mhm.
I just think they're like so trigger happy with the OB. It's just like OB everywhere. We're gonna put OB
Yeah.
here, OB here, OB here, OB here, and it doesn't always make sense.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean,
Again, I don't think they did. I think they did a much better job. And a part of this is because they've been using this course for a really long time, and it's like, um, it's a better location. I do feel like for a disc golf, or sorry, for a ball golf course, it is one of the better disc golf ball golf courses that are out there, like because they have some of the very interesting holes and they do have, you know, some cool things, so there are definitely some redeeming qualities and holes on this course. But something like the Music City Open course, that one it's just bad.
yeah, I would say I do enjoy watching on TV, watching this course. I really enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not playing it, so that's totally different. And I'm not there with them watching it in person. But on TV, I do enjoy this course. So, yeah, for what that's worth.
Yeah. Well, that's glad. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like to me, I don't feel like I would enjoy watching it as much on TV, but I haven't seen a lot of it on TV. So maybe who knows? Maybe my mind would be changed if I watched it.
Again, it could also come down to it's one of those first courses I really watched when I really start playing a lot.
Yeah.
We didn't really mention this. Deanne Carey and Katie Belty was on your card that last round. We
Yeah.
did mention that we saw Katie Deanne throwing on 16, but we didn't mention Katie was with you on that last round, which
Yeah.
was pretty cool.
And she did really well also. Both Deanne and Katie made the island for the birdie look on hole 18, which was really
Wow.
cool.
Katie was +4 that final round, but like you said, Deanne had a hot round. She was 2 under
Yeah.
that final round. I was like, wow,
Yeah, she did really, really well.
that's pretty impressive. Oh, Virginia was there. Virginia
Yes.
Poginghorn was
She
there.
did really, really well.
She shot 1 under that final round because I was kind of following along with her too. I was like, good job, Katie. Good job. Virginia, excuse me,
Yeah.
Virginia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good job.
Virginia had a really awesome, awesome, awesome round.
That's awesome. Um, Anything else about your tournament this week? Take take
Not
take take one thing really positive out of this week.
I would say the really positive thing was overall my mental game and positivity,
Mm-hmm.
specifically through the tough rounds. Um, Especially round two. I feel like for how badly it felt that I did, or I felt that I did during round two, like going through that process, to be able to stay as positive and as okay as I was able to stay, I was really proud of that. So I would say that's my most positive thing
There you
from
go.
Minnick.
So, out of the tournament, we got a few little things. One of the first times in a while I have seen competitors calling foot faults on each other.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, they actually called it.
Yeah, apparently Natalie Ryan had like 2 foot faults called on her. She even
Yeah.
told, I talked to her after the one round, and she told me, she was like, yeah, she was like, if they hadn't called it, I would have called it on myself because
Yeah.
I definitely like stepped on my disc. She was like, it was weird footing on the hill and everything, but she was like, yeah, I definitely like stepped on my disc.
Yeah, she did that twice, and it's just same card. Stacy Ronsley stepped on her disc too.
Yeah.
And they just so happened to be the same group, same card. So I mean, really, really interesting. Because one time it was on the same hole that they did that. I was like, she was like, yeah, yeah, stepped on the disc.
Yeah, you definitely hear a lot of different opinions about that. I mean, I'm definitely very hesitant to want to ever call anybody on stuff like that. Like even I don't know. It's tough. I get why people don't want to do that because you're traveling with them, you're around them all the time. You're
Yeah.
like staying at the same locations. It, those are your friends a lot of times, so it's tough. So I've heard a lot of people say, and I kind of agree with this, like if you have like a little bit of a foot fault, especially if it's in like a run up and it doesn't really give you an advantage, then they don't really care. And I kind of
Hmm.
feel the same. Like I'm more lax about it. Like I don't really care. I do feel like if you're someone who seems to be like they really, really care about rules and you want to call things on everyone else, then yeah, I'd probably be more prone to want to call things on that person. But just because they apparently care about the rules so much,
Yeah.
to like call it on everybody else. But I feel like if you don't get an advantage and it's not egregious, like it's
Hmm.
like really close, then
Yeah, yeah.
I
Like I said,
I
if it's
don't care.
obvious, like when again, their rules. I mean, they literally stepped on the disc. You see the disc come up. I mean, you got to call that.
Yeah.
Um, on hole, the last hole of the extra holes, you see Missy after she throws, her foot hits the mini, and I don't know if Haley was calling her on it because they talked about it and then they said
Yeah.
uh, they threw it out. It wasn't a foot fault.
I thought they said that they did end up calling her on it.
Okay, so maybe she actually did, and I
Yeah.
was because I was like, wow.
Yeah.
I
I'm
mean, I
not
didn't know
positive.
what the rule was there.
Yeah, I thought that she did, but I honestly like I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think you're right that that's what happened. But I was just like, oh. I,
Yeah,
I
I mean
mean,
at
I
that
don't even
point
know
it
how
was
you would
over.
do that with just two people.
Yeah, I mean at that point it was over.
Yeah.
So
Well, I
Missy had
mean, you
definitely
think
like
you think
won.
if she throws this shot, if she were to have to throw it again, maybe she throws it out of bounds. Who
Yeah.
knows? But I mean, would they even do that with it just being two people left? Because they have to come to a unanimous on it.
Yeah. So I
I
mean,
mean,
I
I guess
think
Missy
with
would
the
just have to agree.
play, yeah, I think with a playoff, then I mean, you just need another person. Like, it doesn't have to be a person that's on the card. So you
Really?
just have to have at least one other person that is watching everything and can
Mhm.
make the calls as well with you. So in that case, it probably would have been like, it should have been like a marshal, or maybe
Mhm.
it could have been the TD, like whoever. There should be at least a third person though that's designated to help
Mhm.
make the calls.
Because I think Christine Jennings was right there with them, and I think she might have
So
been the one there.
probably, yeah. So then probably it would have been her. She would have likely been the third person making the calls
Mhm.
then.
Well,
Yeah, because
Missy
you don't
won.
have to have all three people don't have to actually be playing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know we talked about that. If it was two people, I mean, it was three people, and one person had to drop out. So yeah.
Yeah.
So Missy ended up getting the win after Haley. I don't want to say choked.
Yeah, it was a little bit of choking probably.
I mean, because she
Like
on
hole
18.
17, she just kind of like, like a pretty basic, easy approach shot and just
Mm-hmm.
like didn't commit. It definitely seemed like a little bit of choking.
Yeah, I mean, she's a lot better than me, so I won't say that, but it felt bad. It felt bad.
Yeah.
Um, but as soon as that happened, Missy just took it to big money Missy land.
Yeah. I
I
mean, it was
think.
very impressive what she did in making that circle two putt, death putt on 16. That was pretty impressive. And like I
Mhm.
didn't even know, because I mean, usually we're used to sudden death playoffs, right? You don't
Yep.
usually have six. I understand why they did that. It's a really cool stretch to have um a tie break on
Mhm.
16, 17, 18. So that was kind of cool that they did that.
I mean, I like the idea because there's so many times that one person just has that one bad throw. That's all she wrote.
Yeah.
If you get three holes, the aggregate score, I like that idea.
Yeah, I like it as well. And especially because it's so random, like which hole they choose to have the playoff start on.
Hmm.
Like, if you choose one hole that one player is obviously way better on that particular hole, and then the other player isn't very good on that hole, then I feel like that's not, a great determiner, like
Hmm.
determining hole for whether someone should be a winner or not.
Hmm.
So, Missy definitely showed everyone that she was the winner, you
Yeah.
know.
And then Calvin, he got his first win of the season.
Yep.
So that's nice. So, oh wait, Missy became a member of the two win club for this year. Put
Oh,
her
yeah.
put
Yeah.
her with
US Women's and now DDO.
mhm. You put her with Kristen and Evelina on the female side, and Anthony Barella on the MPO side. So
Yep.
there we go. Really, not much else happened this week with the disc golf on the. I mean, not really much.
Nope.
So, what is next for Acebabieee?
So I am going back to Nashville, and I am going to play in FA1 at the Music City Open amateur side. So I've played, this is the only tournament that I've played, the A tier. This will be my third year in a row. I won it the last 2 years. Um, I think just barely too. And so I'm going back and defending my title.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And well, me and you talked about this off air, but so this is not the same course that they just played.
No, thankfully not. Yeah, they definitely would not have AMs play on that course. Thank goodness. I mean, no, we're playing. I'm a little disappointed we're not playing Cedar Hill. I really love Cedar Hill, and we've played that one every other year. We've always played Hidden Oak or Seven Oaks, Cedar Hill, and I'm just like blanking on it. But this year, instead of Cedar Hill, we're playing Sharp Spring, which I've never played before. So that'll be the only course that I haven't played. And then we're playing Seven Oaks. And I don't know why I can't think of the other course.
Because you're tired.
Yeah. That is one thing, like with getting the whole like limes and all of that happening and like building up my strength. And I'm a night owl, so I am still really struggling with getting up early in the morning. That's why it stinks to be on the, the super early tea times every single time. Um, because my body just, and I know I need to do what I need to do. So I need to get a better schedule where I can get to bed earlier, I can wake up earlier. But that is just very difficult for my body to do. Because even if I get off track for just a couple days, then my body will automatically go to wanting to stay up late.
Yep.
Not like feeling awful in the mornings. Like I do not like I'll be physically sick and nauseous in the mornings, and I like won't really be able to eat. It's not just something like we'll just try harder. Like it's really difficult for my body to do this.
Yep.
So I get a little bit off and it's all messed up. I felt like I was making progress to like working on my sleep schedule, getting to sleep earlier, getting up earlier, and then I have these physical things that keeps happening, and so it like gets me off track. So you know by the second or third round, when we start, my body is just so exhausted, you know, and worn out, like mentally and physically most of the time. And so that makes it a lot more difficult. So just trying to manage that and figure out like, okay, what is the best thing for me to do? What can I what can I do? What do I need to start working on? So there's just so many different aspects of it. Like it's not just working on your game, and um, and then there's every area of your game. It's like it's your backhand, it's your forearm, your approach game, your putting game. Then it's like finding time to practice on all of those things separately. But then you have the courses specifically that you go to play, like
Mm-hmm.
practicing those, figuring out the best lines, figuring out the shots you need to throw. Then it's food. How can you like eat well enough, like not spend too much money, like all of that stuff. And then lodging, where things are always changing, and like the environment, and do you have enough time to yourself, like can I recharge, and I can't always do that. And then it's traveling and going to different places, and then it's figuring out sleep schedule and getting enough sleep and getting to bed. And so there's just so many different, people are like, oh, you're on like tour, it's so easy and so much fun, you're having like the dream job or whatever, but people don't understand how much of a grind it is. Like it really is. And obviously this is only like um I mean, I pretty much toured as an AM in 2022, and then this is my first year doing more of like the pro tour. So there
Mm-hmm.
are a lot of other people that have done it way longer than I've done it, and I'm telling you, like it's not just a walk in the park. It's not easy. There's so many different things that you have to consider and plan for and work on, like with yourself, and yeah, it's not like this easy vacation life where you're just playing disc golf
Yeah,
and
you're just going out and playing disc golf all the time. What's the big deal? It's a
yeah,
job.
it really is. It's not just, oh, we're just going out here and having fun. Like
Yeah.
I wish I could be doing what you were doing. It's like you don't understand. It's like people don't understand what you do. They really don't understand what
Yeah.
you do. It's not as easy as what people think it is. It is a grind. It is tough. It takes a lot of determination and
Mm-hmm.
perseverance, and yeah, all of those things. So especially like some of these people, like I know some of the women I talked to said that they're on like their 12th year, 12 years of touring. Like I mean that's just crazy,
Yeah, I
to
was going to
have.
ask you, have you reached out to any of the veterans out there? Like well, I know Sarah Hokum, she's injured right now, but like Sarah, Paige, Katrina, Own, well, oh my gosh, what am I blanking on her name? Jennifer Allen. players like that have been there and been doing it for year after year after year.
Yeah, not really. Like I'm more of a type of person like
Like learn by doing.
well, no, like I'm happy to get other people's advice, but I only want it like if they're happy to give it. You
Hmm.
know, a lot of people are kind of like so busy doing their own thing,
Right.
and I don't want to be like, "Hey, let me like bug you and like get information from you," because I'm I'm definitely not a fangirl type, you know, like if you want to be friends with me or like we want to like talk and I can get some information from you, then that's great. But like I'm not just gonna go to someone just to get that. Like I would rather have a relationship with them, it have a friendship and then like, you know, learn things that way instead of just like randomly messaging someone and say, "Hey, can you like
Mhm.
tell me how to do all of these things?" Because then I feel like I don't know. I just feel like they're just so busy and just some random person being like, "Hey, give me like all of this information." If I don't really have a relationship with them, just feels a little weird to me.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like me just randomly jumping into someone's DM and be like, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast?"
well, I mean, that's a little bit different, especially if it's just like one episode, but you know,
Just jump on for an hour. It'll be great.
yeah.
No, I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, like some of the players I know, I would be like, I wouldn't know how to even talk to them.
Yeah.
But
And some of the
I'm
players
not a
are
peer of
definitely
theirs, though.
like, I
I feel
mean,
like you're becoming a peer of theirs, so they'd be more open to give advice.
yeah. And there are just some players that are just more like to themselves. You know, they
Yeah.
don't really like hang out with people as much. They don't really talk to people as
Right.
much. You know, they're kind of doing their own thing, which is totally fine. And so, like, people are like that, you know, I'm happy to let them do their own thing.
Yeah.
I don't want to bother people, you know,
Mhm.
to me, I'm like, you know, I'll figure it out one way or another, and
Mhm.
whatever help or good advice I can get is awesome, and whatever else I'll get there when I get there.
Yeah. I mean, because my thought is, they've been there, and there are pitfalls and road bumps that they can be like, you might want to try this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of takes me back to when I taught mixed martial arts, and I know it's different because you're not a 12-year-old, so understand that first of all. Teaching the kids is like, you might want to try this, and they're like, what do you know? Like, all right, and then years later they're like, Coach D, I should have listened.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely gotten good advice. I mean, you
Mhm.
learn about, you know, some things like maybe to do or not to do. So I've definitely gotten that
Right.
from, you know, having
I mean,
relationships with some of the people. But yeah, I would say the main thing is, you know, you just kind of find like your people, you find the people who kind of have stay like fairly positive, have like good
mhm.
attitudes and, you know, pretty chill, and that's who I'll hang out with
Yeah.
and be around and everything. And um yeah. And there's a lot of aspects that it's like what they're doing doesn't really apply to me because I'm kind of in the in between. Like I don't have a van. I don't have an RV. You
Hmm.
know, like and a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just, you know, you're trying to find people to stay with, why don't you just get like an RV? It's like an RV isn't expensive, or why don't you just get a van? It's like, do you not know how like expensive that is? And
Yep.
even if you were able to do that and we were able to do that and find like the right one, then staying at campgrounds is not cheap anymore. You know, like a lot of times it's still like
Hmm.
$30 a night. And then if you're doing that, you have to find that like all the time. Or, you know, or maybe say you could do something like boondockers or whatever. You know, I mean, there's so many options, but the thing is like it's not very obvious and clear cut. And there's
Yeah.
so much involved in all of it. and right now we don't have a van and we don't have, an RV. So I'm not really at a point to where I need as much like advice on that, but I have tried to like learn some information
Mhm.
about, van life or whatever.
Mhm.
But also with Andy traveling with me as well, it being in a van would be really difficult because he's a big boy. He's really tall. He's like 6'4" or something. I always forget.
Stuff
So
him in there.
he's very tall, but then he
I'm
also
kidding, Andy.
works. So he would have to work remotely, and having like a van, it just like I need my space. Even when we're traveling now, it's like not enough space when we're staying at places and we're usually just confined to like one room, and it's
Yeah.
a lot. So
Yeah.
we'll see what ends up happening for like next year maybe. I mean, I even looked into like maybe getting a van or an RV this year to see if it was like possible financially, but it just didn't really like work out. So I don't know if that would be something to try in the future. I definitely want to get to a point to where I can have more consistency,
Hmm.
because it has been I've been super thankful for all the people who have, offered to host us during the year, but it is just really exhausting to like figure that out and like staying at different places and trying to um make sure you can spend time with them or do whatever, or just, have your own space and stuff like that. And I just feel like me being me, I don't always, even if maybe they're giving me the space, sometimes I still feel like bad about it. Like, oh man, I'm not spending enough time with them or whatever. So
All right.
it's just difficult for me to do that. So I really need, in the future, it's going to be really important for me to be able to have something maybe like an RV where we can have the same thing. We know
Hmm.
exactly what's going to happen. We have the same bed. We can cook the same meals. We can have we can have more of a schedule, more of a plan sort of a thing. Obviously, it's always going to be a little different on the road in traveling, and you're not going to always have the same things, but at least if you have the same like house that you're
Yep.
traveling in, home base, then that takes out more variabilities than staying at like a different place,
Yep.
and like yeah. So in like Tennessee, we were staying in, with a pretty nice place, but like there was like no sound barrier. It was like a gated lock community, and we didn't have the passcode, so we would just have to like wait for someone else to go in, and then we would go. It's just like different things like that where you just, you don't know what you're getting into,
Hmm.
and so we'll see what happens with that in the future. Anyway,
It,
I'll I'll finish
it's
talking
growing
with that.
pains. It's growing pains. Yeah. As you get used to that life, it's you find your groove. So it's coming. It's coming. It may
Yeah.
take 3-4 years, but you'll be there.
I've definitely found my groove in certain things.
Mhm.
So, yeah.
Yeah, at the hamburger restaurant in Emporia, that's your groove.
Yes. Yeah, but definitely couldn't do that all the time. It would be too expensive. But it was really, I mean, it wasn't an extremely expensive place either, but
Mhm.
still, even just eating out at all
Yep.
in general just
Yep.
can't happen.
Yep.
Um,
But all in all, um, good week slash not good week. Next week, you know what? I just thought about this. You say you're the defending champion of this event.
mhm.
You should not be on the first card.
Yes, but there are way less competitors than
Irrelevant.
there's only
Irrelevant.
like
You're on the featured card, doggone it.
there's only
I'm
going to be
calling it
like
right
three
now.
cards. That would be funny actually if they didn't put me on the feature card. Who knows? I guess we'll see.
Yeah. So, you know, we had a good week. We had a fun week. We had a fun week. And
Yeah, it
again,
was a good week. It was kind of a little bit of a bummer, disappointing end, but there are some good takeaways, and yeah. and ultimately I know that things are going to be better and things that are going to be okay, but I also know that it's okay to be in a space where I'm not feeling the best about things either. Like I think it's important to be able to feel and experience the lows, and at the same time to know that's not the truth forever. Like I'm not going to, it is going to get better.
Yep. And like I say, it's just the growing pains. Where we'll get a groove. We're going to find out the game's going to keep, baby stepping up, keep going up. So there we
Hopefully we
go.
can have more 930 rated rounds. That
Yes.
was that was exciting from day one. I was
Mhm.
like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, I really think it's going it's trending that direction. Again, you had all these health issues, and the strength again it hasn't been there, but it's slowly coming back. Then you get the Lyme disease, like you said. But again, once everything stays on that right path, you're gonna improve. It's okay. Yeah,
It will. I agree.
I've got faith in you.
Thank you.
And again, remember, discs. She has 2 discs. She has pins, and I will need a link for the pins.
Yes, I will get that to you when I have it. Last
Yeah,
I heard, Nina hadn't made one yet
yeah.
on the pin store, but as
Mm-hmm.
soon as she gets that up, I
Mm-hmm.
think it'll happen.
Or maybe
This
at
week.
events they'll have them.
Yeah, and then of course the discs,
Mm-hmm.
that one and that one. So
Nice.
anyway, thanks so much to everyone who watched and followed along and has supported me. And hopefully this weekend will go well and I'll have some really, really nice rated rounds. It depends. Sometimes tournaments like this, you don't get very, very good ratings, but we'll see.
Mm.
We'll see how it goes.
And it'd be interesting to hear from 3 different courses. Is it a 3-round event?
Yes.
Okay. So 3-round event, 3 different courses. That's gonna be fun to hear.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's very different to have to, have so many different courses that you're playing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna try to practice all of them. I'm not sure if that will work out. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm excited to play this tournament, and I'm excited about the courses.
Nice.
Because I feel like there's just been so much like bog off. Although Champions Cup at Northwood Black was really awesome. Love that. But yeah, I'm excited to have some more like what feels more like a disc golf course,
As I like to say, the East Coast courses, lots
Yes.
of woods.
Yeah. It's very fun.
So, anything else?
I think that's all I got. Do you have anything else?
I got nothing else. We will see y'all next week. Like, comment, subscribe, all those good things. We always appreciate that. Rebecca, thank you again for another fun week. And next week, more fun.
And thank you.
And you guys have an incredible day.
Bye.